Hi guys, I am Mr. Milon. I am here tonight to discuss with you on some of the topics. Here you can see on the board that are very important not only for us but also for those who are job seekers or admission seekers. These terms are very important. So let's have a close look on the board. The first one. Move on for the first one. The first one we can see here, the structure begins with it is no use oblique good, then verb 1, then ing form. Dear viewers, this structure generally is used when something is means advantage. When something means advantage or usefulness, then we can use this structure, that is, it is no use oblique good, then verb plus ing form. Now let's see two examples considering these two structures. The first one, it is no use. Here you can see it is no use, and ing form going. It is no use going outside tonight. And next one, we can see it is no good driving fast. We know that driving fast, driving recklessly sometimes causes an accident. That can be very terrible for us, that can be injurious for us. So we can say it is no good driving fast. And first one, it is no use going outside tonight. The situation is getting very bad. So it is no use going outside tonight. And in this way we can make many sentences by our own. So you have to try to make sentences by using this structure. Dear viewers, our second term to discuss today, have a look on the board. Day oblique week oblique month oblique year before, then last. Day oblique week oblique month oblique year before last. This means during the day, during the week, during the month, during the year, before the previous one. So now we can see two examples for these structures. What are the examples here? Have a look on the board. The first one example, year before last, she stood fast. If you say last before year, she stood fast, then it is wrong. So you must say year before last, she stood fast. Don't say last before year, she stood fast. Dear viewers, our second example, we had lunch together, month before last. You can also use this phrase, month before last, at the end of a sentence. You can use this type of phrase from the very beginning of a sentence or at the end of a sentence. That doesn't matter much. There is no problem to use this type of phrases at the beginning of a sentence or at the end of a sentence. No problem. So we had lunch together month before last. Don't say last before month we had lunch together, or we had lunch together last month before. This is completely wrong one. So try to say, you must say year before last, she stood fast. We had lunch together month before last. Dear viewers, our third term today to share with you, to talk to you, is about, have a look on the board, the third one, the beautiful one, the haves and the haves not. haves and have-nots. Dear viewers, there are two, this phrase means, this two term means two kinds of people, two sections of people of our society. Our society is divided into two types, the rich and the poor. So what does here haves means? Haves, haves. Haves means a kind of people. Here you can see the meaning. Haves, people who have lots of money, wealth, possessions, and so on. That is the rich people, the wealthy people. These are the haves. So we mean by haves the people who have a lot of money, lots of money, a lot of people, lot of wealth or possessions are called the haves. On the other hand, what do we mean by have-nots? That is the opposite. That is the opposite section of people, that is the poor people. The people who don't have anything. They can't live their life comfortably. And they suffer a lot. And even they curse their fate. These are the have-nots. That is the poor people of our society. So I think that you have understood the difference between the haves and the have-nots. So let's see two examples of these two terms. Here are the examples. You can see there shouldn't be any gap between the haves and the have-nots. There shouldn't be any gap between the haves and the have-nots. Dear viewers, it is our duty. We shouldn't create any gap between the rich and the poor. We should make our society parallel to everyone. Dear learners, our next term, the significant one. Here we have three terms to discuss because we always mix these three terms with one another. The first one is convince. Have a look on the board. Convince. Second one, persuade. And the third one, pursue. First one, convince. C-O-N-V-I-N-C-E, convince. Second one, persuade. Persuade. P-E-R-S-U-A-D, persuade. The third one, pursue. P-U-R-S-U-E, pursue. So, what do they mean? What do they mean? The meaning, you can see, convince. Convince means to make a person believe something. Dear viewers, here STS means something. I have written these two terms in short for your betterment. To make something believe, to make a person believe something, that is convince. And the second one, you can see persuade. Persuade means to get a person to do something. To get a person to do something. This means persuade. And our third term, pursue. Pursue means to follow something. To follow something. To obey something. This is very important. So we have a clear idea. We have a concrete idea about these terms. Because we at times mix up these three terms with one another. So we must have clear idea, we must have a concrete idea about these three terms, that is convince, persuade and pursue. Now let's go for the example. Let's Let's go for the examples. Here you can see the example for convince, persuade and pursue. The first one, convinced. And the example is she was then convinced of his honesty. She was then convinced of his honesty. And our second one, persuade. We have persuaded him to do the work. We have persuaded him to do the work. The third one, I must pursue the path of honesty. We know that honesty is the best policy. This is a well-known proverb. This is a well-known quotation. Everyone should be honest, should be determined, should be hardworking, so that we can prosper in life. So, we must pursue the path of honesty, pursue the path of truthfulness, pursue the path of determination. So, let's see again the example. She was then convinced of his honesty. She was then convinced and maintained. After convinced, we must use preposition of. And our second example, we have persuaded him to do the work. And after persuade, we must use the preposition to. To. We have persuaded him to do the work. And our third example, I must pursue the path of honesty. We must pursue the path of honesty. We must pursue the path of truthfulness. Dear viewers, our next example for today, to discuss today, that is very easy one. I think that you are aware of them. However, I have mentioned here and to discuss, share with you. It is very, very easy one. I think that first one, IE versus EG. What do the two terms mean? IE versus EG. Here IE means that is. IE means that is. That is, in other words. That means IE means that is, or in other words. On the contrary, EG means for example or example given. EG means for example or example given. Dear viewers, I haven't written any example on these two terms because here we only make mistakes considering the meaning of these two terms, so we don't need to have an example for them. So you must have clear idea about these two terms, that is IG and EG. That is, IG means that is, in other words. IE, sorry, here I have a mistake here. IE here. IE means that is, or in other words, and EG means example given or for example. Dear viewers, keep in touch with me. I think that you are enjoying my class. So, see you later. No more today. Allah Hafiz.